Hello, I'm Colette. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do a video called How to Do Rumpology. And if you don't know what rumpology is, it's divination by looking at the buttocks, the bum, the butt. And it's not something I would normally have done. I'm a tarot girl through and through, but many years ago, well not many, a few years ago, I had the urge to learn about odd forms of divination, and I decided to write a book called How to Read an Egg. And basically in that I wanted to learn how to read an egg, how to do tea leaf reading, which isn't odd or whatever, but it's a bit old fashioned. I wanted to try shaman bones, all sorts of things, and look at what was taboo and what could be done and what shouldn't. So anyway, that's the thought behind it. And I thought, well, yeah, I'd heard of Rumpology, so why not do it? And that's the point of the book. I went through every method, learned it myself, did it on a willing volunteer from my Facebook page, various ones, and then said what I thought of it and how accurate it would be. So I'd heard of Rumpology. Sylvester Stallone's mum, Jackie, was basically made a big fool of years ago. Because of her love of rumpology, and she used to say she read for all sorts of celebrities, and that's fine. What I thought was that, you know, that women could really have had a clairvoyant gift, but just chosen a very unusual form of working with their clairvoyant gift. I mean, who are we to judge, really? You know, I don't necessarily like some forms of divination, but that doesn't mean that they aren't accurate for the person that's reading them. So I thought, you know, when I was looking at things, there was very little on rumpology itself, but a lot on how daft Jackie Stallone was and how silly and whatever. And I thought, that's a bit of a shame. Anyway, but she seemed to know what she was doing up to a point, and I thought, well, I'll find out what I could. And again, very little on it. I searched and searched, and there's some people say that buttock reading was used by ancient Babylonians and you know, maybe the Romans, but I couldn't find any real proof of that. And I do have a science background, so I kind of thought, well, that could have been said, but not really fully researched. The problem came as well when I tried to find out things about it, because when I was doing divination by moles, which was something I'd not really heard of, but it's a very common thing to be done in China, and there was lots of information on it. It was just a bit like palmistry. If you want to read the lines on the palm, there's lots of information, lots of books, and there was the same for the reading of moles, where they were in the body, but rumpology, not a lot at all. So anyway, I just thought, well, I'll go with what I found out. I'll try and do one. So the first thing was I asked for some volunteers, and compared to reading people's belly buttons or doing their moles, there was very few people actually said yes to it. And I wasn't going to say, you know, come to my house, drop your pants, go and look at your bum. I wanted photographs. And again, it just struck me as bizarre and weird that, you know, when I have a sense of very deep professionalism about my clairvoyance and my tarot, but this was always just meant to be fun and to find out if there was something in it. So a couple of people said they would do it, and one sent me a photograph that I felt I could work with, and I put it full screen on my computer. Now, most days where I lived at that time, my postie would come up, chat the window if he'd mail, and either throw it in or move to the door and then chat. But this day he came up, we chat the window, his face froze, and he just threw the mail in through the door rather than chat, and he went away. I thought, what was that all about? And then I looked, and right in front of him was me looking at full screen buttocks. And I thought, oh my God, he was never the same to me after that. I don't know what he thought I did as a job, but obviously he was puzzled. So that got it off to a kind of weird start, and I didn't have much information to go on. So basically, I looked at this buttocks in front of me. probably the wrong choice because it was a very toned bum. It was a little bum, female, and there weren't a lot of marks on it. So I referred to what I felt were the things that I knew that maybe Jackie Stallone looked at or whatever. But again, vagary all out there. So there's two things. There's the buttocks and there's the gluteal line or crack. And these are two things that you can look at to tell a person's personality and to maybe predict. Now, the left buttock is the past and the right buttock is the future. And there was all sorts of things that, depending whether the gluteal crack was straight or curved or bent, that meant something too, but I couldn't figure out what it meant. Nobody was saying what it meant. They were just saying two buttocks, gluteal crack, go with what you get. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? Because I had been commissioned for a book, so I had to do it. So anyway, what I decided to do was look at it as left buttock, past, right buttock, future, and see what I could see in the past and see what I might see in the future. And also have a wee look at the crack. I also, because the buttocks I was dealing with were quite smooth, this woman obviously liked it moisturised. And there weren't very many marks on it. But if I actually made it even bigger and looked closer, on the left hand, I felt I saw two little faces, and I found out after doing the reading that the women had two children. I also saw that the left buttock looked smaller than the right, and maybe that would indicate that the person had more life ahead of them than behind them. Sorry about this. I'm just remembering doing it, and I walked about for that whole sort of few days going, what the hell am I doing? While doing business readings and while doing shamanic stuff and doing buttock reading as part of the book. So anyway, the gluteal line or crack kind of bent slightly to the left, and the only thing I could think of for that is maybe the person looked to the past rather than the future. And there was one sort of little dent for what I could say was maybe a career line or something, but on the right buttock there was 4. So I thought maybe the person had one main career up to now and then maybe would veer off and have different ones in life. And that was about it. I looked for symbols that I knew, like if you know symbols, then you know that they're pretty universal. So, the things that you use for dream interpretation could be used, to look at coffee grains or look at smoke, look at eggs when they're in water. So I was looking for anything that looked, like an anchor or this, that, and the next thing, and there was nothing. So I wrote it up and emailed it to the person, and it was very vague. And she said, well, I've got 2 children, and yeah, I can, the personality aspects or whatever. But I could never, ever have charged for it and would never have done it. Divination to me is about accuracy. And to be honest, I've tried a lot, and even for the book, I tried things like making my own shaman bones and using them, and they turned out really not very bad in any way. They were quite accurate. The tea leaf reading, the eggs, things that I never ever thought would be, that accurate that I would think of doing them again. Some of them were, but Rumpology wasn't. One, there was nothing that I could have sort of connected to real life in it. 2, it was just embarrassing. And I don't think it's a thing that, I would have been happy doing face to cheek as such, it just, it was horrifically cringeworthy, and it wasn't accurate in any way near the level that I would expect the runes or tea leaf reading or anything, and particularly my tarot, which is up here. I couldn't even say where Rumpology was, but it's on the floor. So I have to say it's a fail for me, but you might want to try it. One of the things, make sure that the lines on the person's bum are coming from their bum. I made sure that the person hadn't worn jeans or, hadn't like tight pants that could maybe put marks on the bum that then you would go interpret as, oh, that looks like an arrow. They're going forward in life. No, it just needs to be a bum that's been out in the air for a wee while. Can you imagine if you saw this amazing sort of imprint of a mobile phone? You'd say, oh, I think they're in communications, but they'd actually just had their mobile phone in their back jean pocket. That's how ludicrous this is. So I don't want to put you off. Everybody, if it works for you, it works. My problem with it too is that it wasn't in any way accurate. And the second one is, I don't think in any way it was professional. And with divination, those of us that work with it, I've been 20 years now where I've done nothing but work with my clairvoyance, and before that was a pharmacist. I still am a non-practicing pharmacist, but the ethics from that of pharmacy are the ethics for my readings, and I believe that a degree of professionalism has to be there for clairvoyance, has to be there for therapists, has to be there for everyone that is dealing with paranormal and occult, because it's seen as a very fringe thing, and it's almost like, oh, they can't do anything else, or they're frauds, or they're this, that, and next thing. And I've worked all my life to show that that's not true, that we do have ethics. Okay, there's fraudsters out there, but there's fraudsters in every career, in every country, in every world. You'll get them. You'll get bad doctors, you'll get bad pharmacists, you'll get bad accountants, bad bankers, and you'll also get bad readers. But I've worked hard to bring the way that I work ethically to the fore. And I think that many readers really work that way and take themselves quite seriously. And I could never take myself seriously doing Rumpology, I'm afraid. And I possibly would find it hard to take anyone else seriously doing Rumpology. So it's a fail for me. But if you want to give it a go, why not? Just make sure that you get your curtains closed and your postman doesn't think you're some sort of weird pervert. And if you want to read more on other forms of divination and also more about my experience with Rumpology, this is my book called How to Read an Egg by Colette Clairvoyant. Love the cover on this, actually. Just exactly what I wanted from John Hunt and his designer. Absolutely loved it. So you'll find a lot more in there, and there's symbols, a little symbols dictionary on the back that could be helpful for you. So Rumpology, thumbs down for me, but if it floats your boat, there you go. Just don't try to make it look that professional, because it never is. I don't know what more to say on it, but there you go. That's my thoughts on learning about Rumpology and actually doing a reading. I did actually have more pictures to look at, and more people that actually said yes, but I stopped after one because it wasn't going to give me much more, if you see what I mean. It just wasn't working for me. So I hope you like that. If you like it, give me a thumbs up. Even if you don't like the content, give me a thumbs up for actually trying, and also scaring my postman to death. And hopefully I'll see more with more divination in the future. Looking forward to do that. So take care, and many blessings from a very dreich, rainy Scotland. Bye now.